Red Bull is presently leading both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships after having a great start to the year. However, Christian Horner is not at all pleased that the FIA is adjusting the budget cap to account for recent inflation. It has resulted in a significant increase in the expense of managing an F1 team in recent months. Horner has been addressing the media and contacting the FIA with requests that they change the budget cap. However, Horner is really hitting the mark this time. You want to know why? Let's get into it. With the recent high inflation, the cost of living has increased significantly, and this has meant that the costs have gone up to maintain the factory and produce the new parts needed for the new era of Formula One cars. Electricity bills have risen, meaning that it costs a lot more to teams to power their individual factories, and the transporting equipment needed for Grand Prix has also risen, making it harder for teams to travel from race to race. The new budget cap that has been implemented for the 2022 season means that teams have had to cut costs to make sure they can get to the end of the season within budget. However, teams are already worried that they will have to break the cap before the end of the season. There have been a lot of suggestions in the paddock to raise the current budget cap, which is $140 million, to make sure that teams can reach the final race in Abu Dhabi. Red Bull's Christian Horner has been one of the most vocal in wanting to raise the budget cap, saying, "We need to act now." Here, Horner is clearly adamant that many teams will have to break the budget cap due to global inflation. He knows that if the FIA doesn't do something, there could be teams missing out on the final races at the end of the season. Horner knows himself that the bigger teams like Red Bull and Mercedes are struggling to stay in line with the camp, and knows that the smaller teams are struggling even more. This was further shown when Horner said, "About 7 of the teams probably need to miss the last 4 races to come within the cap this year, from the consensus that there has been up and down the paddock." The Red Bull team boss further explained that almost all the teams would struggle. It's not just about the big teams now, it's teams in the middle of the field that are really struggling with the inflationary rate that we are seeing that could even get worse in the second half of the year. This would be catastrophic if the FIA didn't change the cap, as we could see a race that will have little to no drivers on the grid, and this would cause outrage amongst the fans of the track. Horner also said that a budget cap could cause jobs to be at risk, saying, "I think the teams would have to get rid of 200-300 people each to get anywhere near addressing it. Red Bull and any other team on the grid would not want their valuable workers to lose their jobs over something that the FIA could easily change." Horner further explained his point on the risks of saying, "What we are seeing in the world at the moment, we are not in control of the inflationary costs that are affecting households around the world. In the UK, we are seeing a predicted inflation at 11%. This shows that the budget cap has to be raised, and it's not the team's fault, but due to things out of their hands." Christian Horner further said recently, "We don't want a championship decided in law courts or in Paris in front of the FIA, Horner stressed. "We have got 6 months of the year to address this. We need to act now." This is clearly putting pressure on the FIA to make an immediate change, as he knows that if the budget cap remains the same, Red Bull may not be able to field their 2 drivers in the latter stages of the season. This could be crucial for the championship, as if it goes down to the last few rounds of the season.
Dennis Hauger is off and into the path of another car. Big accident there. Dennis Hauger.
It could allow Ferrari and Leclerc to win the championship due to Red Bull not being able to race. If this happens, it could cause huge outrage, and even more than the final race of 2021 in Abu Dhabi. So, this is why Horner wants the cap to be adjusted to make sure another controversy like this doesn't happen again. Of course, it's not just Red Bull who are complaining about the current budget cap, but also their rivals in Mercedes, who are also worried about the cap. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff said, "It is not that we want to generate more profit. It's literally allowing people to have their salaries compensated for the extraordinary inflation they are suffering from." Here, Toto is saying that he does not want to make more profit from the budget cap being raised so that people who are working in the factory and for the team can be paid their salaries. We know that Red Bull and Mercedes are not on the best terms after the 2021 season, so it is very rare that 2 teams agree on a subject as concerning as this. Toto has attempted to reassure smaller teams that he doesn't want to hurt them.
Perez is catching Charles Leclerc, he takes him towards the inside, Perez on the inside, Charles Leclerc!
I think the worst for the sport is having a stubborn position that some of the smaller teams think that the big ones are trying to gain as an advantage. And we are actually going to screw them by not allowing them to do this, and us on the other side seeking to lift the calling, which we don't want to do. Here, Toto is sending some sort of warning to the smaller teams that adjusting the budget cap isn't just helping the top teams, but also helping the small teams like Williams.
Comes the chicane, off goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton! Unbelievable stuff!
Gunther Steiner, the Haas team boss, is firmly against the budget cap and believes that they can handle its current measures, saying, "Because if we start now with 10% inflation and we keep going on, where do we stop?" And the budget cap was there, for one thing, to make it a level playing field. Steiner clearly believes that if the budget cap constantly gets changed, it will only benefit the top teams, as they will have more funds to spend making their car unbeatable, as Mercedes did for 8 years. The whole point of the 2022 regulations was to make racing closer and to allow teams to be closer, and it is fair to say so far that this has been the case. The main reason for the budget cap was to make it a level playing field. As before, the top teams have a lot of money to spend than the smaller teams like us. Steiner here is indicating that maybe the tip teams are lying about struggling with the budget cap to allow them to have more money to spend on the development of the car. Could this be the case, or does Steiner know that the increase in the budget cap will not help them? We know that Williams was the first team on the paddock to break the budget cap rules, but this was not due to overspending. They were simply fined $25,000 as they did not file the 4-year reporting document before the deadline of March 31st. Is this a sign of things to come for the smaller teams? Another team that is worried about the budget cap are Ferrari, with team principal Matteo Binotto saying, "I am pretty sure that at some stage we will go over." It is clear from what Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes have said that one, or if not all of them, will not be able to complete all the races this season unless the budget cap is adjusted. The FIA must act now because it is a serious problem in the top teams and is far worse in the smaller teams. It seems obvious that Formula One will want every team on the grid for every race in order to attract spectators. Do the top teams really need to gain from the increased budget cap, or does the FIA simply need to make a change as quickly as possible? See you in the next video, guys!